get started. Alrighty, so we are recording this, so I'll start with a formal introduction. Hi everyone, welcome to Chamber Music Northwest's first ever virtual masterclass. I'm sorry that we can't be together in person to share wonderful music and to have our festival artists working with students, but I'm really happy that we can still do all of this virtually and to find connection in that. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Taylor Forholtz Burbank, the Artistic and Community Programs Coordinator here at Chamber Music Northwest. We are incredibly privileged today to be joined by Daniel Phillips, who will be leading this masterclass. Daniel is a violinist in the Orion Quartet and a longtime festival artist and friend here at Chamber Music Northwest. We are also joined by four incredibly talented young Portland violinists: Clara Fisher, Noah Carr, Nate Strothcamp, and Nicholas Dill. So I'm just going to give everyone, our attendees, all of our panelists, just an overview of the format of this masterclass. So all four of our violinists have submitted 5 to 7 minute recordings of themselves playing some amazing, wonderful music. For each student, we will first play each video recording, probably like 3 to 4 minutes of each recording. And then 15 to 20 minutes will be devoted to each student working one-on-one with Daniel. So I asked that before I just turn it over to Daniel, I asked that all panelists mute their audio and video for all parts of the call where you are not working with Daniel. That just ensures that all of our attendees, since we are on Zoom webinar, our attendees watching will only see Daniel and each student that they're working with. So yeah, let's I want to hand it over to Daniel and to say any words, and then we'll start with Clara and Clara's recording.
Okay, me. Well, I'm very glad to be here, and I'm really sorry not to actually be there in Portland. It's like it pains me and my wife not to be there this summer. And we had a particularly great run of repertoire and amount of time there and stuff. Anyway, so I'm very glad to be here, and I already heard everybody play their full-length video, and I was super impressed at the level of preparation and excellence that they had. And as I told some of them before, like everybody's so well prepared, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, because it sounds fine. But anyway, so but I want to give everyone at least a good chunk of what they prepared, and then I'll try to just zero in just on a few things with each student.
Great. So shall we start with Clara?
Yeah, Clara, why don't you announce again what you're playing for those who just tuned in?
Okay, I'm playing Higher Kati by Jana Dubai. So it's a piece that's based on like a gypsy style, but it's a Hungarian writer.
Okay, great. Taylor, could you just stop it there? Great. I guess we should all be clapping now, but we can't hear anything. Great, Clara. Very good. Very good. So, again, like very, very well prepared. You did great on that. So just a couple of musical things, and then some basic things that I'm still working on myself. Right. So as I mentioned, one of my big influences in my life was Sándor Vég. That's Vegh. He was very well respected, especially in Europe, as one of the great musicians. He's less well known in the United States, but he made a big impression on me, I must say. Anyway, he studied with Hubei, the composer of this piece, and he was a personal friend of Bartók. So I kind of got some information right from the horse's mouth. So this figure and that yata is like the quintessential Hungarian utterance. It's a little like the way they talk. If Hungarian accent have first accent on first syllable. So a lot of that figure has to have like this strong spoken flavor to it, and almost equal. The second note not as much, but not but cha ta ta. a lot of this Hungarian music has that. Like, sorry, here. Oh, here it goes. I never played it, but. And also a Bartók First Sonata, there's a place it goes. So can you just like do that flavor on that? It took me like a million times doing that before Mr. Vague said that I got it. So just that. So it sounds like ta ta and not just correct rhythm, but has that flavor of ta ta. Right, and kind of dig down with the bow on each note, like da 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 da. Right, so all the notes should have this sort of more speaking quality. What I mean by that, if it was just only singing, be like that, but speaking has lots of, like when we speak, has lots of head on the syllable, and it goes away. And then, you go. Yeah, that's the idea. If you go online and look for, have you ever heard Roby Lakatos and his band? No, that's anyway. It's Lakatos, Lakatos. Boy, if I was really prepared, I would have had it ready to share right this second. But he's maybe one of the he might be the greatest violinist alive, maybe. But he plays the gypsy music, and it's like the real thing from a long family. So if you go hear him play, to hear him play that, it's like you'll hear this kind of speaking quality. So in this piece, it's really supposed to be a Hungarian, like a real, like if it isn't really one, it imitates a Hungarian chardash, which a Hungarian band would play at a a dinner or a concert, wherever they play. But also gives the clue to Bartók and Kodály, and even Brahms when he's writing the Hungarian dances. When you have that figure, ta-da, ta-da. I remember the first thing I did was Bartók's Sixth Quartet with Mr. Vague, and the melody went like. Went like that. And it's all marked slurs. So I played it like that. I said, no, you must speak ta-da-ti-ta. So. So even though it's legato, it had the same kind of speaking quality. So that's something you might not just pick up by instinct, but if you kind of know where it's coming from. And in this case, you're getting it pretty direct from Hubay, who was Hungarian, and Vague, who knew Bartók and Kodály, and I knew him, and now you know it. So that's the main. Oh yeah, then in the allegro part, I don't know this piece, so I can't play it right this minute. The dun 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 dee da da ya da dun. You have all those notes like lean as if they're pickups. Dun dun Da 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 dee da da ya da 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 dee da bum da 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 da. Your ears were sitting a little bit upright, da 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 da, like that, and make them go forward. Can you just try that part? Right. Try not to stop. Don't stop the bow between. A little faster. It sounds a little too. It needs a little more. That's good. All right. So even less stopping. There's still. Sorry, I can't see it. Sorry. I know it says dots probably, but that's like doesn't. Yeah, that's more of the taste, the taste of it. And if it could be like a wilder feeling, like like the whole idea of the Hungarian gypsies is they intoxicated their audiences by either the voluptuous, gorgeous tone in the slow places, and a little bit of a wild kind of pulse, so everyone can feel like. Da, da, da. So it's infectious. And that's okay, it doesn't have to be. Good. That's the idea. So you have that kind of attitude. So the gypsies, if they play it really well, they would rake in a lot of money. That's what Mr. Vague said. The gypsies, they're mostly motivated by money. But what they offered was something that was made the other audience in a frenzy. And anyway, so probably spending too long now with you. But I just want to show you something to get rid of. There's a little bit of like stiffness in your tone, and you've probably been working really hard to make sure to apply good pressure to the stick, so you play with a strong tone. So that's kind of the idea of playing with a strong tone is good, but if you press straight down on the string, and especially with somewhat stiff fingers, the sound sounds like you're pressing it, because the string has to vibrate like that, and if you press too hard down on it, it makes the vibrations irregular, so it sounds pressed. So, okay, everybody with violins, try this. I can't watch you, but so this is what we're going. This should have been your first bowing lesson. So we're just going to call it an open string arpeggio, starting down bow on the E, finishing on the G, and then just do that. And start well beyond the violin. So the idea is you have the big feeling of a curve when you play. So when you do this exercise, don't jerk to get the levels. Make it all one smooth movement. That's right. Now pick one string. I'll pick the D string and do the same thing to it. So I'll start on the D string, A string, the A string side, and finish on the G string side. Then the opposite. All right, and leave the instrument, leave it ringing when you're done. So the idea is you want to feel as much as you can the curve. Do the arpeggio, all the strings again. I'm not kidding. Do the same thing to one string. That's the idea. Now, just for argument's sake, bow it exactly in a straight line again. So, straight line. Just bow it a straight line. Like you. Right. Now bow in a curve. Even over Zoom, it's pretty obvious that's superior. And the good news is that your arm doesn't like to go like this. It likes to go like, if you move your hand around anywhere, everyone just do that. Just move your hand around. Like, at no point are you making a straight line. Try to make a straight line with your hand, or a square. It feels terrible. So the idea that you bow straight is not really right. It's I don't know how you tell a 5-year-old to bow parallel to the bridge. That's good, but the bow stroke is not straight. It's curved, and that makes that applies very natural force to the strings and makes them vibrate big without squelching the sound at the same time. So if you just try that on Harikati, try to make each tone round. I'll do it for you. If I did it straight, it'd be it sounds a little stiff, right? Okay. Yeah, that's the idea. So right away you have like more freedom and a bigger tone, even more beautiful, and no less strong in the string. So it's just something to remember. And if you forget, just do that. Okay.
Great. We do have to move on to Noah.
Yeah, I spent time on that, but I'll be referring to the curve the rest of the hour. Okay.
Thanks so much, Clara. Alrighty, Noah. So if you can unmute your video, great. And we will move on to Noah's recording.
Why don't we stop it there, too? Okay. No, that's beautifully done. So I,
Thank you.
I can't fault it, honestly. So, well, tell us about the bow you're using. Well, not the bow
Uh,
you're here. That's
yeah, so uh, I've been, for the past year or so after I switched teachers, I've been experimenting with a Baroque beat bow and playing in a Baroque style. So yeah, and I've been figuring out the differences between the modern bow and the Baroque bow, and how the the physical differences in bows changes the way you play the music.
yeah,
Fun and interesting to do.
yeah. I got pretty excited about that myself at one point. So I went out and bought a Baroque bow too, and I used anytime I play Bach or any Baroque music, I always use it. I learned a great deal from it. One thing you could use even more than you are of the Baroque bow. So the Baroque bow, can you hold your bow up so everyone can see it towards the camera? Get closer. All right. So I don't know if you can see. The Baroque bow is has more distance here between the hair and the stick, and it's shorter and more tapered at the tip. So it's one thing that gives you is a feeling of sinking down at the beginning of the stroke. So I think in your interpretation of the first movement, it was a little too much in 3 and not enough kind of in 1. Because first of all, like the harmony generally changes only one time a measure, right? Like almost all the time, right?
Yeah.
So what's the marking? Is it marked Adagio or something?
Largo.
Largo.
Yeah.
So it's a little more ambiguous. That just means wide,
Yeah.
broad, whatever. But I think the tempo is more about the measure than about the quarter notes.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that means it's too slow, but it means the whole measure should be generated from the first impulse of the measure. So. And less weighty on the weak beats.
Yeah. Do you want to try that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, but don't give the second beat any impulse or any strong impulse. So.
Yeah.
And I don't really know the piece at all, but just to get an idea where the piece is going, you might get a good clue if you about from the where the bass line does. Can you just play the bottom, just the bass notes for the first like 6 bars or so? Go something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So just play the bass notes like quickly and make a melody out of it.
Yeah.
I meant just the bottom note. But anyway, you can see that the bass line is all the notes are close to each other, and it kind of makes a sense of melody. So if you can go ahead and play the whole thing, but try to really make the melody and the bass hold together, not sound like one, like a new piece each time. Good. That's it. And then top melody, that also continues too, right? So. So I'm not good enough to get it by ear, but.
Yeah, so it's like two different pieces.
Try to keep more measures together.
Yeah.
So we know. Otherwise, the piece seems a little bit too long.
And it becomes
That's a shallow thing to say, but the great composers like Telemann have a way of, with their voice leading, to make a longer, something longer out of it. I know Baroque style, you're told to do everything with short gestures, but you can still have a. You can still do the short gestures, but still have an idea of how it adds up.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, I won't spend more time on it. And in the second movement, there's some détaché places. How did they, with separate bows? Yeah. So there, you can get a more kind of a beautiful détaché if you do a little bit like we did with Clara with the round bow. So if you can, I'll try. One thing about Zoom, I can actually get closer. So again, instead of only bowing side to side, go a little bit in the curve too. It makes it more connected. Let's try it anyway. Just a little more in a curve. Right, you can still feel that when you speed up. Instead of that sounds okay, but this is more rounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, just try it in tempo. You feel it just curves with your hand. Right. So it's, it makes a more beautiful passage. Now, if you want it to be more detached, then yeah, go right ahead. But it's a nice option for Baroque passage work and also for. The Beethoven concerto or Mozart concerto.
Yeah.
But when you want a kind of more kind of singing détaché.
Right. Yeah.
So I know you're studying about Baroque players and how much what that means for vibrato. So
Yeah.
What's your status on vibrato use now?
Well, so I've been told that vibrato was used more of an ornament than an aspect of tone.
Yeah.
So I've been experimenting with, adding less vibrato, but because I've played like everything with vibrato all the time so much, it's kind of hard, and it's hard for me to not play with vibrato sometimes. So I think it's hard to consistently play with like scattered vibrato here and there. So
Yeah, I know. I know that's what they said. Although there are some complaints about from Leopold Mozart saying that people tended to vibrate too much,
yeah,
which means somebody was vibrating.
yeah,
And Jim and Danny says something about having a kind of a live fingertip when you play.
I think
So
personally, yeah.
I'm not sure what to think either. I'm kind of conflicted myself. But you're gonna say?
Oh, personally, I think it's important to like learn all the things with Baroque music and the stylistically accurate ways to play and know how to play them. But I also think I like to change them around a little bit. And vibrato, I think, is one of the things that I'm not a huge fan of like scattered vibrato. I think I like it to be kind of consistent throughout the piece. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can show you a kind of way to approach that. So you can have what we can call like a sort of a background vibrato. So all violinists who have your violin out do this too. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then figure out a kind of a sort of a gentle vibrato that kind of goes with that. All right, so that amount and speed, if that could just be something like maybe that could be there too. But that would be different than, say, romantic vibrato. That would be stylistically horrible.
Yeah.
Especially by Baroque standards.
It's more of like a shimmer than a.
But if you get this somehow doing that exercise gives you the right slight vibrato and that right speed. So even in your passages, you can kind of have that background vibrato but unless you're really trying to make sure you don't do it. But that's a good solution for Baroque music. So it just kind of enlivens the notes. Let's see, I'll do something that I know. So you get my vibrato. Okay, then. So the vibrato is there, but it's not. But it just enlivens the notes a little bit without being like in your face. I wouldn't do that. But so I feel like as long as I'm not doing that, then maybe I'm okay. That's kind of where I'm with it right now. One thing I will say though is, have you tried playing on a violin, at least with all gut strings on it?
That's been something I've really wanted to do for a long time, but I'm hesitant about putting gut strings on my violin because I don't really have experience with that, and I don't want to I don't know, the tension's going to be different, and I don't want to really mess with that. So I would like at some point, not now because of the pandemic, but at some point to go somewhere and play a Baroque violin. But I haven't been able to try gut strings. So.
Well, it's not going to really mess your violin up, except you'd have to take the E string tuner off. So it is kind of a production, and then when you when you play more later music, it's well, actually, even Winiarski would have had a gut E on at the time. But yes, it becomes less practical. But anyway, my point is that when you play, I've done that actually. I've converted one of my violins to all gut a number of times, and I find that on the gut string, I just don't feel like vibrating that much.
Yeah, because I've heard that it's like warmer and it has more layers, and it just this like
Yeah.
both strings are more.
And they're really hard to play on. They're fat, so you have to like fight a little bit to get the sound out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I find I'm not as tempted to the need to vibrate as much as I do on regular strings.
Would you recommend putting gut strings on my violin for like when I need to change my strings once, just to try it out and experiment with that?
Well, yeah. You could. It's not going to hurt your violin any, but it's a pain in the neck to take the. You have to take the tuner off carefully, and when you tune the strings up, they're very elastic, so it's very easy to knock the bridge over.
Yeah.
So even now when I put strings on, I tend to lift up the string there so it doesn't pull against the bridge while tuning it up. So that's what a gut string maker told me how to do that.
Well, we do need to move on to.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Thank you so much, Noah. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Interesting work.
Alrighty, let's share Nate's video.
why don't we stop there for now? No, I can report the rest of it. It sounds just as stunning as that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great playing. Very, very high level artistry and fiddle playing. It's so beautifully put together.
Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. So, yeah, basically, it's fine. So whatever I'm going to say is like, I just have to make up something. Um, but I think is in a few ways like further use your musical instinct. So what I find that you don't always how should I put it, trust or use is your feeling of impulse with rhythmic and musical impulsing. So what's a good example? Even in the melody, it's like if you were to conduct it, you go like what, something like. You would have these impulses that you use with your arm. Can you just conduct that, please?
Yeah.
Like I did. Yeah. If you can sing it, if you're not embarrassed, that's even better.
Okay.
But mostly, you don't have to sing correctly. I just want you to just see what your musical instincts tells your hand and your arm to do. Right, right. Yeah, you see there's these sort of generous kind of impulses there. So I think you can carry that to the way that you bow and feel the music too. When you played it, you looked like that. Sort of. Okay, no, don't, no, don't. The idea of this now, we're not going to try to evaluate anything except try to imitate what you already do not naturally. So it's kind of sing it to yourself while you play it, and let this do what it wants to do. That's it. The idea. Now notice. Now just conduct it again. Just conduct it with your. I just want to see your hand. Just conduct it with your hand. Right. So notice your musical instinct is to use your bow arm in a curve. And as I'm hoping I already proved to everybody with with Clara that actually bowing it around in a round way sounds better. So this is like a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Your instinct is to do that, and you might think, well, no, I'm not bowing straight. I better clean that up. But yes, actually, scientifically, the tone production is better when you bow in a curve. So when I take the string, you take the string this way. It's better than taking the string like that. So, so go ahead and let your bow horn hand go in a curve because that's better technique. One. That's the idea. So my suggestion is to practice without the violin and bow. And I think I'm pretty good at that by now. But every time that I put the bow and violin down and just kind of sing it through, I say, I should be bowing like that, not like how I was. So you'll find it's trustworthy. And earlier in the piece, sometimes I didn't feel the rhythmical impulses behind it. So sometimes a note got slightly shortchanged, and for that, or at least to my ear, that's what happened. So three. So the third beat needs to lock in there. I don't think that's where you made any mistake. But that kind of thing. So that this impulsing is part of the music, both the musical gesture and also the rhythm of it.
Yeah.
I think you may feel it that way too, but you've been slightly terrorized by either your teacher or yourself to make everything go straight.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to further show you that that your musical instinct will show you what's actually better scientifically. So if you go you kind of feel those impulses in your hand like you would when you talk with your hands. I don't know. Are you a hand talker? I'm not really, but
Somewhat. Yeah.
well, people talk with their hands, and but they feel what they're saying in their hand, right? So we should too. That's how it transmits to the sound. That's how we behave. If I feel this, and I play it like. You can see how. Let me do it both ways. You don't need any sound. And one I'm going to sort of sing it to myself and let my hands move the way they want. Okay. Now I'll just do it more textbook. Anyway, you can tell the second one doesn't sound as expressive
Yeah. Definitely.
without hearing a thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just an instinct that's true. So the good part of what you've learned is parallel to the bridge is a good idea because you don't want to go. You don't want to bow like that. But your first lesson, that's probably what happened. You went, oh, good, I'm gonna bow. And that happened probably.
Yeah.
And no, bow straight. I don't. Did you start Suzuki?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So remember when you had to do do that?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's everything bowing straight too. But how about parallel to the bridge and a curve? That would have been better. So that idea of like bowing an exact straight against your body's wishes seems unnatural, and that first way it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
No, you should never. There's no point in sounding that way, like ever. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know how you tell a 5-year-old how to play perpendicular to the string, but in a curve. I don't know. Maybe it's too hard to get across. But anyway, I find that that's like a big thing I need to tell everybody, at every level of ability, that yeah, actually bowing in a curve is a good thing. Almost everybody does in the last notes of pieces. That's why you get the good photo ops. But sometimes that might be the only curved stroke they drew, all night. So you kind of want to have that relationship with your instrument. Oh, yeah, then one other thing, just about not bowing like that. Now the thing is, if my hand was a statue, right, and I move my arm, the bow goes like that, right? So something's got to give, and so let me show you what ways to find out what can give. Now, if you don't think about it, all violinists do this. I can't see you, but pick up your violin and put your bow at the frog in the air, and without thinking, just go right to the tip. What does your bow hand look like now? Mine looks like this.
Yeah.
Like that, right? You go with the tip in the air and go to the frog really fast. What does your bow hand look like? Mine looks like this. So in other words, at the tip, your bow grip looked like this. At the frog, it looked like this. So why not cooperate with that? So allow I know you're taught a bow, we're all taught the bow hold, but this bow hold's only good for like 1 inch of the string. I can bow down to there. Looks like that. I go to the tip. It looks like that. Even the place. So you have to, if you want to do this, you have to admit that the place where your index finger touches might change. If I go to the frog, it looks like that. If I go to the tip, it looks like that. So I didn't tell you to do that, but that's what your hand would rather do to keep the bow from going like that. But the thing is, if you hold on to the bow grip the same way, then you have to do other complicated compensations with your arm instead of just letting it go back and forth.
Yeah.
So I'll see if you can just bow it open. Everyone can do this. Just bow up and down above the string, like about a half inch above the string, which is really hard to do, to bow perpendicular to the string without touching it. Yeah. You'll see that your bow hold has no choice but to accommodate that, right? But it has to change. So when you play for real, just put the bow on the string and let your bow hold change. With your tip, but just move back a little bit. Anyway, yeah, go ahead. Because the ideal is we want to have the same exact loud sound at the point of contact with the same comfort level in the bow. So the tip, I find myself like that, so I can get really good leverage to the point of contact. And here, I find this counterbalances the weight of the frog. But if you insist on either the Russian grip or the French-Belgian grip, the French-Belgian grip makes reaching the tip really hard. staying with the Russian grip makes it unbalanced at the frog.
Yeah.
So if you just sort of admit that it might need to change. Just quickly, I'll show you another way to figure it out. Can you hold your bow on the string like that with your left hand? And then slide your bow hole up and down the stick. And you have to make sure you're touching with all your fingers. Yeah. So you can find a lot of stuff out about the path of your hand and what your bow hold should do. And if you find that you're getting stuck, then along the way, then you're holding the bow too tightly.
Yeah.
So there's one more way to prove this. Let's say I want to play in the middle of the bow. I hold the bow in the middle, get a good bow balance. Okay. Now, I'm going to rewind this exact bow grip to the frog and play it in the middle. That's right, keep it the same. And now play in that middle part of the bow. Good, right? So let's say you want to play at the tip. Hold the bow at the tip to get a good balance. But you'll see you have to lean on your index finger to get a good balance, right? So keep the same bow grip and play at the tip. That feels super good too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't have asked, but I know that it does. Because those are ways that kind of prove that the bow hold actually accommodates and changes in order to have consistency where you play with the same comfort level. So you shouldn't always think every time you play a down bow you have to like pump a little harder to make sure it sounds big. I know you probably spent a lot of hours doing that, and it worked too. There's nothing. You play fine at the tip, but this is a way of being more efficient and cooperating with is how your body works. That's why I asked you to don't think at first.
Yeah.
Then you find these things happen.
Well, I hate to interrupt, but we do need to move on
Yes.
to our last violinist. Thank you so much, Nate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so impressed by everyone's playing. It's so high level. Great. So Nicholas is on, and I will share the video.
Yeah, we'll hear like maybe 4 pages of this. I'm sorry, I couldn't find a place to stop in there. It just like, yeah, that was just beautiful. And basically, you play it like I like to hear it. You're more observant of the tempos and the way the music's written. I don't think it's a cadenza, just because it's for
Almost everything he writes is slow down.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like at the end you do the, you hear like Vengeroff's another, makes some kind of fake job right where Izai says to slow down. Anyway, I was so glad that you did it that way and played the rhythms correctly and made it to a beautiful, passionate piece, not just a slugfest. Anyway. Okay, I don't have I was going to criticize your shifting, but I thought it was okay a second time. I think there's like one or two that you slightly missed.
Yeah.
The only thing I could, what I was going to work, although I thought I would hear in other shifts too, but I think you're better. But if you forget to lighten your finger before the shift, then you'll probably miss it. So in any shift, you always, before you leave the old note, make sure you lighten to harmonic level. And then when you have the new note, then take it with a little snappy vibrato, and that'll make it sink back down into the string. The general rule, though, is when you're traveling horizontally, like on the string, your fingers should glide at like harmonic level, whether it's a short shift or a long shift. And if you forget to do it, your chances go way down. And it's not as musical either. But anyway, there was only that one that I noticed, one or two like that. For this part, just the way you paced it, it was a little hard for me to believe that organically. The way it kind of ebbs and flows. You kind of, maybe because you were being technically careful, it was a little bit stiff right in there. Just try that place. And just kind of follow the waves of the music backwards and forwards. I find that just a little stiff. That let it. Yeah, that's the idea. Now, Mr. Vague used to say, like, you must feel the waves, the waves of the music. Yeah, and that's particularly helpful in French music somehow, having a little bit of that flexibility, not only to take time but to go ahead. So there might have been one or two other places like that, but where you only slowed down, didn't have enough going forward. All right. So one thing I know about this, I got passed down to me when I was at Meadowmount. I had Joseph Gingold as my chamber music coach, and he of course was a student of Izai. So I don't know why Mr. Gingold asked this one day. He said, my dears, what is the hardest thing on violin? And I thought, I don't know, like thirds or staccato, down bow staccato, I don't know. He said, no, string crossings. And I thought, that was my first lesson. How hard could that be? I kind of understand it better now. But what he said is that Izai's bow technique was very much based on feeling the roundness of the strings. So he was always wanted his students to learn how to do good bow crossings, string crossings. So he said, while these 6 pieces are dedicated to his esteemed colleagues, the real reason was he wanted his students to practice string crossing exercises. There isn't any better one than this. That's like the best exercise ever devised for bow division. So the big, and during the video, I couldn't really see your bow hand was out of the vision most of the time. But the rule of string crossings, I'll just go over them, whether maybe you know them already. Basically, is to follow the curve of the bridge, so that there's no bumps in your. So if I'm doing that passage, as soon as I play the G string, I'm already on the way to the D string. All the way up, ready on the way to the A. All the way to the E. So. There's no bumps anywhere. So just. Still can't see your right hand, but that's okay.
Should I stand up?
Yeah, back up a little bit. A really good way to practice, though, is put your bow right on the bridge. It doesn't sound like anything, but it gives you a feeling of playing on one big round surface. Yeah, go ahead, play right on the bridge. It'll make no sound, but just feel it. Feel that. That's it. See what I mean? You don't feel the edges of the strings when you do that. So that's a good way to practice in order to feel that roundness, so that you never have to put a strange rhythmical jolt in it. And it works well for that part also. Yeah, you can do on the bridge, but just the idea of it going gradual rather than any sudden impulses. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, looks like you already knew that anyway. Doesn't look that different. The one thing I did learn about it is when you're doing rapid string crossings, so anything like that, or even that, it's better to leave your arm level good for the lower string that you're playing on, and then, in other words, you would just kind of stay there when you're playing quickly. If you're playing slowly, of course, that's ridiculous. But, so you just kind of reach down with your hand. So that causes less turbulence with your arm. That's the idea. You're still moving your arm some, but not. Right. So sometimes go lean on something so you can't move your arm, just see what it feels like, and then do what you do. Like you don't have to be like stiff about it. But and that, by the way, works for any of the chords too. Not to always be going like this. Or if you're playing a Bach fugue, instead of that, if you leave your arm level in one place, which is the higher level, then it gets rid of the awkwardness. In this place, you can also a little bit keep this alignment good. You don't have to change it much, but change the strings by moving your whole arm a little bit without only doing it with your fingers. Really good. That's the idea. I mean, not that you've been having trouble with it, but I think you can feel that reduces a lot of the stress. So same, I guess for Noah too. No, not Noah. Nate in the Tchaikovsky concerto. If you do those passage works also by keeping this aligned instead of doing the whole passage like that, you do passage work and just keep this simple alignment between your elbow and your pinky intact. Whenever, as much as you can do that when you play, the better. It reduces a great deal of stress that your hands feel to do things. What else? Now, the string crossing thing is the main thing I wanted to tell you. And lightning or shifting. Yeah. You have a beautiful sense of the freedom of the music, too. It's very, very convincing. Yeah, and a great intensity. Yeah, anyway, I'm sure I'm over anyway, and I don't have any more to tell you right now. That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
We could do any kind of Q&A now from anybody.
I have a question, actually.
Yeah.
Could you tell us more about your time with Mr. Milstein?
Oh yeah.
How he taught and...
Well, it was cool actually seeing him. 'Cause he played a fair amount too, and the big. I had like one like pivotal moment. I was playing the Glazunov concerto. In those days, I had a big giant shoulder rest too. So I was playing in my Juilliard fashion. That's how we play at Juilliard. And so he literally, first of all, I was really close to him. Actually, the first thing I found out about him is that he's a really short guy. Like, I'm 5'3", and he wasn't any taller than me. I always thought he was a big, tall guy, because he looks so imposing. But anyway, he's short. He's a short guy. So I was standing, like, right next to him, and he comes over to me. Yeah, he takes my nose and says, "No, take your head out of your violin." And then he started playing this part, that part after the cadenza, and he had this big, like, silk scarf hanging down. The silk scarves are slippery, right? And so he's holding his violin like this. His neck wasn't really on the chin rest either. And he said you just play like this. It's just free. It freaked me out because he was talking at the same time he was playing, and his neck wasn't even on the chin rest, and he had the slippery silk holding the violin. that just freaked me out. But immediately I started doing. I started playing like brilliantly, and it's so much that actually just a few years ago, Ida Kavafian said, "Do you remember that Glazunov lesson that you had in the Ilstein's class?" Because it was one of those moments all of my playing was transformed, and it continues to be when I think about that moment. And seeing him, and then seeing him play with basically not even holding onto the violin, it was just floating in the air. So I've been trying to figure that out ever since. So I did figure out how to get rid of the shoulder rest, and I understand how to play on silk now. But but that was very impressive. And I remember, but first of all, his playing, he just sounded better, way better than anybody in the class, like unbelievable better. And he was pretty old by then. He was like 79 or something, 80, 79, 80 when he did it. But he could outmove anybody and play with the most. And the playing was so brilliant. But he often told us to find the skeleton of the music, like in the Tchaikovsky. Find the skeleton to energize the piece. I remember, like in the Brahms concerto, I heard the student was, and he played no fine. To energize the piece music from the skeleton. Sorry, that didn't sound that good. And also, don't wear out the same part of the bow, he said often. So I remember like one Kreutzer, I do this bowing of his now, but the student would, he said, no, don't wear out the same part of the bow. He went, like bowed it like that. Just to feel feet up. So that was amazing to witness that. He seemed to be able to do any bowing or fingering and changed. I mean, I know from my dad who played in the Pittsburgh Symphony when he recorded the Mendelssohn and Tchaikovsky. He said every take he used a different bowing. Like just didn't matter to him. He just played. So that was very impressive. And it gave us like a model to try to be like. Well, the best part was he took the whole class out to dinner in his hotel. Very fancy, like service and beautiful wine and everything. And then he took us up to his room and we hung out and he smoked and stuff and told us stories. I don't remember any of the stories. I just went like, oh, I'm in the room with Nathan Ilstein. Oh my god. Anyway,
Thank you.
Well, great. I think we can totally keep this call going for any other people who have Q&A. I'm just going to say this so we can end the recording so it can start uploading. That we have 2 more master classes at 11 a.m. next Saturday with David Schifrin. And then on the 25th, Daniel's wife, Tara Helen O'Connor. And so you can log on the same Zoom link that you all logged on with for this one. And thank you so much, Daniel, and to all of our students. And yeah, I will keep this call going for any other Q&A. Thanks so much.